Hey guys, what's up? My name is Ripon. Today I'm going to show you how to create Angular application from scratch. At this moment we have Angular 8 version available, so I'm going to use Angular 8. In order to create Angular application, we need to install Node.js, npm and an editor like Visual Studio Code. If you go to the browser and if you type nodejs.org, then you can see the download link here. You can download the node.js from here and you can install the node.js. um, Currently 10.16.0 is available and this is the most stable version, and we can also see it includes npm 6.9.0. And I need an editor, so I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. You can download it from code.visualstudio.com, and if you click the download for Windows, and you can download the Visual Studio Code and you can install it. Once you install both Node.js and Visual Studio Code, then you can go to the terminal or command. I'm using Windows, so I have command prompt. If you are using Mac or Linux, you can use terminal. Okay, so the first command would be to check the node version, which is node space dash v, which is version 10.16.0, and npm version, which is npm dash v 6.9.0. The next thing would be to install Angular CLI, and if you see in the cli.angular.io, you will see Angular CLI is the command line interface for Angular, and to install Angular CLI you have to use npm install angular slash CLI. Okay, so npm install dash g for global angular slash CLI. It will take few minutes to install, or maybe less than a minute. Once it is done, we can check the version, which is ng space v, which is 8.1.0. okay, so we have node, we have npm, and we also have Angular CLI. So now it's time to create the application. I'm going to create the application inside the Angular folder. So cd Angular, then the command would be ng new, then application name. Let's say first Angular app. So would you like to add Angular routing? Yes. Then you can use any like CSS or SCSS, SAS or LAS CSS processor. So I'm going to use the CSS. It will take a minute or two to create the application, and also it will download all the dependencies under node modules. Alright, successfully created. Okay, now I want to open it in the Visual Studio Code. I want to cd into the folder which is first Angular app, then code space dot. Now we can see the application is opened in Visual Studio Code. It has a folder like E2E, which is end-to-end testing. I'm not going to cover this one as part of this tutorial. And node underscore modules, these are all the dependencies for Angular and all other third-party libraries. And also another folder src, source folder. And then it has bunch of config files. I want to see the package.json. So here it has the name of the application, version, scripts like Angular CLI scripts, which is ng serve to start the application, ng build to build the application, and so on. Okay, it also has dependencies. These are the default dependencies there. You can also add the dependencies whenever necessary. We also have dev dependencies. These dependencies will help us to create the application and run the application. Okay, now let's go into the source folder. In the source folder, we have three folders: app folder, assets, and environments. Apart from that, we have index.html, main.ts, polyfills, styles, and test.ts. Okay, so main.ts is the starting point. It has like few imports, which is like enable prod mode or platform, browser, app module, environment, and it is bootstrapping app module. And we have one index.html page, which is the landing page. So this is like, you can see HTML5 codes are here, and if you notice, we have app root element here, which is the root element in Angular. Okay, and that is coming from app module, app component. Okay, so before going into app component, I want to go to app module. So app module is our primary module, which is defined in our main.ts over here. So it has like module decoration, which includes declarations, imports, providers, and bootstrap. Okay, it also has few imports like browser module, ng module, app routing module, and app component. Okay, so this app component is from this one, app component.ts. So this is our component. Component is like a regular class. If you see class app component, and if we include the component decorator here, then it becomes a component, and that component is coming from Angular core. So inside the component, it has like three parts. First of all is selector, which is the app root, and this is an element selector, and template URL, a style URL. This template URL is for our template, which is here, app.component.html. Okay, and it has a style sheet, which is this one, app.component.css. Okay, all right, and this is a private variable over here, property actually. So we can access this property from the templates, which is here. So first thing is I want to build the application. So we have to go to the terminal. So in the terminal, the command would be ng serve. Compiled successfully, and the location is localhost 4200. In the browser, if you type localhost 4200, then you can see the default templates. Okay, let's close this. Okay, so this is our default templates, which is coming from app components. So for now, I don't need this URLs. Also, I don't need router outlet, and also I don't want these images. If we save, automatically it will compile and render the UI. So now we have blank template here. We only have the header here, right? Okay, so first of all, I want to create a component like department component. So in the department component, I want to display the list of departments. So for that, I have to stop the server first. Control C, yes. The command would be ng g for generate, c for component, then the component name. I want to create the component under components folder. So components, then department. Now if you see, it creates a components folder. Under the components folder, it creates department folder, which includes like component, department component. And if you see in here, it has like 4 create command here, so, and also an update command. So in the update command, it updates the module, app module, and it includes the department component. Alright, now I want to build the application and want to make sure everything works fine. And serve. Compiled successfully. UI works fine. Okay. I want to use like service to consume the API. Then we can render that a list of departments in the UI. Okay, so I want to create the service. So let's stop the server first. We can also use another terminal here so that we don't have to stop the server. So in the another terminal, we can write ng g for generate, c for component, but this time it is service, as for service. And I want to create the service under services folder. Let's say department service. If you notice, it creates one folder which is like services. Under the services, it creates like department.service.ts, also one test file here. Okay, and if you see, it is also a plain class here, except it has injectable. So if we specify a class with injectable, that becomes a service. So that means we can inject it in anywhere. So in the latest version of Angular, we can specify the provided in. So in this case root, that means it is available in the whole application. Earlier we had to specify as part of our app component, app module. So we had to import it here and provide that service name in the providers. So now we don't have to specify in the providers, because we have property provided in the injectable, and that injectable is coming from Angular core. Okay, and one thing I forgot to mention about the export. So export is the keyword we have to use in every classes or interface, so that that class and interface would become global, so that we can import it from any other classes. Okay, and it also has like constructor here. So we want to use like one method like public get departments, maybe this is the method, and it will return list of let's say department. Okay, list of department. So at this moment we don't have the department available, so let's create that model first. Add a folder, let's say models. In the models, add a file, let's give the name department.ts. Then we can specify like export. We have to export this interface and give the name department. In the ID department, I have two property. One is ID, other one is name, which is string. Okay, and if we come in here, I have now I department here, but I need to import it. So now I have to import it, I department from models then department. Remember, you don't have to specify the extension like .ts. Okay, now I department is available here. As I mentioned, we have to use export so that it will be available in other classes. If I remove this export and save it, if we come in here, it is complaining that there is no department available, right? So what we have to do, we have to export it. Perfect. It is complaining because the method is not completed yet, and we need to return a value. For now, let's say null. It is returning null. Perfect. Then what else we need? We want to return it like an observable so that we can subscribe this method from the component. So in order to use observable, we have to import that observable from like rx.js. So you can use import observable from rx.js, which is observable. Perfect. And what else? We need like HTTP client to consume the API. So in order to use HTTP client, we have to first import that HTTP module, which is like HTTP client module from Angular common HTTP. Then you have to add it in the imports. Now if we go into the services like department service, then I need to import HTTP client private HTTP, which is HTTP client, which is actually from Angular common / HTTP. Okay, so this is a private variable which is accessible within the scope, within the class scope. That means this is similar to if we declare a private variable here, HTTP, let's say HTTP client, and we have a private variable in the constructor, then we can assign it to the HTTP, right? This is exactly similar to that, and we don't have to specify in a private variable and assign it. We can directly specify in here, and we can use this variable within the whole class scope. Okay, all right, now we have HTTP client. Then what we have to do, we need an URL, right? Let's say private URL, which is a string, and I want to so in this tutorial I don't want to create the API. Instead, I want to keep the data in the asset folders, and I want to access from that file. Okay, So I want to create a folder here. Under the folder I want to create a JSON file. That's a department.ts. Okay, so then my URL would be the location of the folder, so which is under assets data department dot JSON. That would be actually JSON file. Oops. This one. Okay, so in the JSON file I need one array. Inside the array I will have like list of objects, so which is like id, oops, one, let's say name, it. Okay, similarly I want like a list of other departments. So I have list of departments here, right? Okay, so how can I get this list of departments? So I can use HTTP client, which is this dot HTTP get. In the get I have to use that URL. After getting that data I want to convert it into like iDepartment, so that would be iDepartment. Since it is an array, so I have to use array. Perfect. We can check in the terminal, like in the node, we can see as soon as we save the file, it compiles the file, and so there is no issue at this point. And we can check in the UI also. Perfect. Now I want to consume this service from the department components. So for that I have to go into that departments components. In the department components I need like department service, which can be part of the constructor. Let's say private department service, which is department service, and import it from the department service. Okay, so I have this available now here. Then what I have to do, in the ng on init I can call the service and subscribe the service. So this will be this department service get departments. I want to subscribe, so it has like two part. One is success and failure. So if it is success, we have like data available. If it is failure, we have like error available. Okay, so this is like an arrow function. I have a tutorial about the arrow function, you can check that out. Okay, so in the data what we want to do, we want to create a private variable here. Let's say departments, which is department array, and I automatically imported the department array, I mean department model from the model. And I need another string variable for error message. In case if there is an error, we can display the error in the UI. Okay, so data, and this dot departments equal data, and if there is an error, this dot error message equal error dot message. Compiled, successfully compiled. Okay, now we have list of departments available. Now we can display those departments in the template. So currently department template is empty. So what we can do, we can go to the UI and let's type departments. It is not showing up here because we didn't specify the route. So what we have to do, we have to create that route in the app routing module, which is in here, app routing module. So it has like const routes. We have to specify all the routes in this array. Okay, so and that should be an object. I have a path. What is the path? Departments, and the component will be department component. Right, now if we go to the UI and press departments, still not going in there because we have to use like router outlet. So we have to use the router outlet to render that route. Now if we go to the UI and press, we can see it is now working. Department works, right? So if we don't have this router outlet, we can't see the departments because it is not rendering that routes. Department works. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to display that list of departments. So I can use like a div here. Oops. The div, I can use a table, then the head. So I have two column, so I can use like one is for ID, one is for name. Okay, and in the T body we have row. In the row we have like 2 TD. Okay, and this tr is like we have to repeat the tr, so I am going to use ng for let depart of departments variable. Right, now in the I can use the Angular expression department.id and department.name. Save and go to the UI. We can see ID and name is coming, displaying in the UI, but we were expecting list of components, list of departments. So why they are not displaying like list of departments? We can investigate in the UI. Is there any error is going on? Okay, here you can see an error is going on. Cannot read property like subscribe of null. Okay, so let's go to that service. The issue is here, like the path is not correct, so this will be assets because our data is under assets. Okay, now if we save and go into the UI Control S, save. Okay, going to the UI. Yep, now you can see we have the list of departments available in the UI. Alright, what's next? Now I want to create a menu so that we can click in the menu and we can go into that URL, right? So how can I create a menu? I have to go to app component.html and there I can write nap here, and I want to add anchor tab. This is like departments, right? And what else? Now if we see in the UI, you have the departments here. Now I want to make it like clickable, so router link is departments. If you see, it is now clickable. You can let's go to that root, home page. At this point we don't have anything which is like app component. If I click, now it is going into the departments, right? Okay, and what else? Now I want to create a component like about component, so let's create it. So ng generate c components and component name is about. So it has been created here, about component. Now I can add one more router link. So router link which is /about. Okay, save this one, and if we go into the UI, you can see about is there, department is there, but about is not working because we have to specify in the app routing module. So here we have to specify like path about, and component is like about component. Now if we go to the UI, we can, if we click about works, departments, but I want like an separator here. Save this one. Yep, it works. Okay, and between these I want to use like active class. So for that, first of all, I need to add like CSS. So app component CSS, which is black, let's say black, and whenever there is active class, I want to give the color as blue. Now let's see, black. Okay, for attaching that active class, we have to specify like router link active, which would be as part of nap. So here we have to specify router link active, class name is active, and it is in both of them. Save. Yep, department, about, perfect. And you can add more details in the about page. What else? I want to add a button here, so that if I click on the button, it will go into the details of that department. So for that, what I need is I can add one more 3D In the 3D, let's say I want to display the view, so that I need another th here. Now if we go, I have view. Now I need to make this clickable. So how can I make this clickable? I can use anchor tab here, right? And if I save, successfully compiled, and we can see in the UI. So now these are anchor tab, but we don't have the route link, so I have to attach that route link. Okay, so what I have to do, I have to use router link, which is like department slash, and I need like ID, Angular expression, department ID. Save it, and we can see it is showing. So if I click, it is not taking you to the detail page because we don't have that detail page ready yet. So what we have to do, we have to create that component, ng generate component. Under the components, I want to create like department detail. So department details has been created. So so what we need is, we have to create that app routing for that. So which is like :id. So this is the URL parameter, and this will take us to the department detail component. Okay, so we can fix, we have to import the department details, which we can import like department detail component from components, department details, department detail component. Okay, now if we go to the UI, click on it, you can see it is taking you to the department details, and also you can see the ID in the URL. Now I want to take that parameter from the URL, and I want to display the details of the department. So for that, I have to go to department detail component here. In the department detail component, what I have to do, first of all, I have to get that ID from the URL. So for that, I have to use activated route, which is from activated route, and that is importing from Angular router. Okay, so what I can do, I can declare a variable here, private variable, let's say ID. So this dot ID equal this dot route. I'm going to use snapshot property. From that I can get the ID from param map, get ID. If I save now, it will be successfully compiled, and we can display that in the UI, that ID. Let's say ID. We can see now ID is showing here. If I click 3, ID is 3. Perfect. Now what we want to do, we want to get the details of that department, right? So we don't have the API ready for this getting department detail, so I'm going to use the existing department service so that will give us the list of departments. From there I will filter out that department, so I can inject the department service, get departments. From there I want to subscribe data and error. Okay, so in the data what I want to do, I want to declare a private variable here, which is department, which is like I department, and the department equal data. Data is like list of data we have here, but I need to filter out based on that ID. Okay, so I'm going to use filter method here. In the filter method I'm filtering like x.id equal this.id, and this filter method will return arrow object, that means arrow of department. So I have to take the first one, which is index 0. Okay, and if there is an error we can use like error message. So error message equal error dot message. Compiled successfully. Now if we go to the template, we can specify like ID, which is like department.id. Similarly we can use name. Okay, now if we go to the UI you can see the details like 5 marketing, 4 operations, right? Okay, so seems like working fine. What else? I want to make this link as a button, so we can use like a click event. We'll have a click event experience here, so that is here instead of anchor tab I want to use button. So that is now a button, right? Okay, instead of using router link I want to use click event. So click event in the parentheses click equal, let's say display detail, and I want to pass the department as parameter. Okay, now in the component we can create that public function which is display detail, and it has like department which is I department, and then what we want to do, first of all I want to log that department ID, make sure like data is coming properly. So I want to inspect here, console, click on it, 4 5 1, perfect. So what I want to do, instead of using console I want to so I need that router, so I have to inject it as part of that constructor, private router, which is router importing from Angular router. Okay, so this dot router dot navigate. In the navigate I have to specify the path, which is departments slash and the department ID. We have to use parentheses here. This is a method. Okay, save it. Let's go into the browser, click on it. Yep, right. So application is working as expected. What about if we type something else which is not there, right? Because the test route is not there in the application. So how can you handle this? In that case, we want to display like not found page, right? So first of all, I want to create that not found component, ng generate component. Let's say not found. Okay, then what we need in the routing, we have to specify like another path which is double star. That means double star means not found. So that path, so there is no matching with that URL in the routes array, then it will go into that double star path, which is like not found component. We see now not found, right? And what about if we don't specify anything? Because at this moment it is pointing to nothing, so that's why what is happening, it is showing like not found component, right? So how can we fix that? We can have another component, let's say home component. Okay, so what we can do, we can specify something path. If that is empty, we want to show like home component. So in the way you can see, if this is not pointing anything, that means empty, then this is pointing to the home component. If we specify something else, not found. If we specify department which we have in our application, is going into that department. Like it is also going to the about component if we have the URL for about. Okay, so everything seems working. Now let's build the application. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, so there is a command like ng build. Okay, so this command is for to build the application. So stop this server, then use ng build. And it will build the application, and you can see it creates a folder called dist. Under the dist, it creates all the required files. If we go into the folder, we can see it has created that folder, and under the dist application name, then these are the all required file, so you can host into your application, right? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll be adding all those commands as part of the description. I will also include a GitHub URL so that you can download the source code from the GitHub. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe this channel, and you can share your comments in the comment box. I'll try to reply your comments. So see you soon in another tutorial. Till then, happy coding.